Stephanie D. McKenzie, and welcome back to my channel. I hope I'm still your favorite empowerment coach and recovering people pleaser. We have been talking about people pleasing for quite some time. And it came to me that maybe we need to examine this situation through that lens. And if you're asking what situation? Well, of course, I'm talking about daylight savings time and April Fools. Just kidding. If only you've been sitting under a rock for the last 2 weeks, did you miss the incident at the Oscars? No, I'm not talking about when Lady Gaga and Liza Minnelli were on stage, although that was a beautiful moment. And I'm actually, unfortunately, not talking about the moment when Questlove, an amazing, renowned artist, received, I think, his first Oscar for the documentary Summer of Soul. Unfortunately, I'm not talking about any of those highlights or the fact that 3 women hosted the Oscars in Women's History Month, I believe. Well, no, I think Women's History Month might have been over. I don't know. All of my days are starting to run together again. I swear it's like the beginning of the pandemic. But nevertheless, I'm not talking about any of those high points. I'm talking about the 23 some odd steps, perhaps, that Will Smith took to publicly assault Chris Rock after he told a joke. Yeah. But here's the thing, you know, when that happened, I have to confess, I thought it was a prank. If you thought it was a prank too, make sure you put prank in the comments because we're still doing our contest thing. So if you comment, you could win something, and I love to give things away. But at first I thought we were being punked. I literally felt the same way I did when Kanye West grabbed a microphone from Taylor Swift, from poor little Taylor Swift, as she was getting, I think, her MTV award, and told her that he was going to let her finish, but Beyonce had the best video of all time. In that moment, I knew I was being punked. I knew that Ashton Kutcher was going to rise out of his seat in that particular venue and tell me I was being punked by Kanye West. I was not being punked. Unfortunately, I was not being punked, and neither were you, and neither were millions of viewers who saw that live on air. Sounds a little like the incident at the Oscars. So anyway, I feel like, you know, this incident created a lot of questions. People had lots of questions. And as I took a moment to reflect, because I have to confess, in the beginning of realizing that this had really happened and what was really going on, and that, again, this really happened, it really aggravated me. It frustrated me. It actually kind of angered me that this is what's happening on the global stage with everything else that was going on. Now this. So I've had a little time to reflect, and I feel like, you know, there were a lot of people that were asking a lot of questions, a lot of different questions, but I think, honestly, they're all asking the wrong question. So I'm going to talk to you about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because I have notes. I'm going to talk to you about 5 questions that are absolutely wrong that everybody is asking. And then I want to share with you the one that I'm thinking about. And I want to see if you agree. So first things first, let's get into this. Make sure you like, share, and if you really like me, that you subscribe, but make sure you drop a comment and that you're subscribed, because I want to like help you win things. I want to give you things. I always like to give things. In fact, if you go over to my Facebook page, or you can find me on Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. So wherever you find me, you might actually run into this box that we did last year, and it had oodles of things in it. So I love to give away oodles of things. There's always things in my office / home to give away. So make sure you comment below. Anyway, and share this out if it's meaningful to you. We're going to make sure that it's timestamped below so you can get to the meat of the things, in case you're just like, Stephanie, seriously, all of this? If you want to get to the meat, there's timestamps below. Anyway, here's one of the first questions that everybody was asking, and I'm sure you can relate. The first question that everybody was asking was, should he have done it? Okay, well, that's a fair question, right? And I have to tell you, as if I would have been Chris Rock, my answer would be no, he should not have done it. But if I was Will Smith, I also would not have done it. But it's easy to say what you won't do when you're not actively in a situation. Should he have done it? I mean, there's a part of me, you know, I call it my inner gangster, that's going to say to you that, yeah, I don't think I want to publicly assault somebody on a global platform where it is literally being live streamed throughout the world. I don't want to be immortalized like that. However, I wasn't sitting in the audience. I didn't feel those emotions. I didn't feel that pain or that frustration or whatever he was feeling. I don't know what he was feeling. I don't know him like that. I can't call him up. I don't have his number. So, and neither can most of you. Let's just be honest. But that's one of the biggest questions that people were asking. And I mean, okay, that's a fair question. So what's next? Well, here's the second question that people were asking. You ready for it? Let's go. Why did he do it? Well, why did he do it? We could speculate for days. And this is when the conversation became very interesting, right? Because most people were saying, well, he did it because Chris Rock said a joke about Jada's hairstyle and likened it to the movie G.I. Jane, which P.S., if you've never seen that movie, Demi Moore acted her butt off in that movie. However, because we now know that Jada suffers from some form of alopecia. P.S. I need you to know that alopecia simply means hair loss. There are a variety of different kinds of alopecia. I myself have alopecia. So, and I can't remember which one I have. Yeah. But anyway, it's got a name. It's like something, something, something alopecia or alopecia something. Anyway, and then others were saying that, you know, they saw his initial reaction, which was one of laughter, and then her initial reaction, which was one of rolling her eyes. And so perhaps in some shape, form, or fashion, he intuited or empathically connected to her pain and reacted out of that. I don't know. And then other people have said, well, you know, he grew up in a household where he watched his mother be abused by his father or maybe his stepfather. I don't want to throw anybody under the bus because this was hearsay. And so, you know, he felt like he needed to do something for the woman that he loves. And then, of course, because he needed to protect her. And I'm like, you know, I get it. And I know that there is a conversation around protecting Black women. And the truth of the matter is a lot of women, I'm going to say this for myself. I feel like a lot of women got excited at the idea of a man standing up for them, having their back, et cetera, et cetera. Let me tell you something. As somebody who has been in the midst of a situation where her man was about to fight would be a moderate word. So the person I was with at that time got wind of something that someone had tried to do. Hey, let me be transparent. In college, there was a guy who attempted to run me off the road. He was doing a little, you know, little gesture, I guess he was playing a little game. Did he mean to run me off the road? I don't know, but we're on I-35 and those aren't games that you play like that. And so I told my significant other at the time, he was not happy. And the next time he saw him, it was on site, period. Some of you know what I mean when I say that. Okay, so I've had that more than once. And I will tell you, as someone who has been in those situations, it actually does not feel good. It's actually very nerve-wracking to see somebody that you love and care about get to that level of rage that they're ready to inflict pain upon another person. It's actually not, it's more like, yeah. So while I wholeheartedly believe that, yes, Black women need to be protected, I don't necessarily know that that was the way to protect a Black woman. I don't necessarily know that there was a Black woman that was being threatened. What we do know is that there were a myriad of circumstances that came together and it ended with assault. That's what we know. Okay, great. So what's the next question? You could probably guess. I wonder, are you guessing? If you're trying to guess the question before I say them, put guess in the comments. I'm just curious. So what is the next question? Because ironically, this is the night when Will Smith is up for his first Oscar as Best Actor. I think he was up for one in Ali as supporting actor, maybe? Well, he was the main character. No, he did not win. I think the Oscar in Ali went to Jamie Foxx for Best Supporting Actor. So anyway, nevertheless, yeah, feel free to fact check me because again, I'm flowing through this for you guys. Yeah, so this is the night he's up for an Oscar. What? You know, and as an African-American woman, as a Black woman, as a Black person, we don't get a lot of those. Okay, great. So in the moment, within 30 minutes, right, you see this assault, and I'm going to call it what it is. He did assault him. You can call it whatever kind of assault you want, but at the end of the day, one human did assault another human. And then about 30 minutes or so later, he is receiving the Oscar for playing Richard Williams in the movie King Richard. Talk about a roller coaster. So now, of course, everybody's up in arms because, again, this is what happens when you go rogue and assault people on a global platform. The entire world has to weigh in. And so, of course, they start asking, will he lose his Oscar? Would he? I don't know that anyone has ever been stripped of an Oscar. I don't know if that's in the history of the Oscars. I'm pretty clear that no one has ever been publicly assaulted at the Oscars, but that's neither here nor there. We're not going to stay on that vein. But that's one of the questions, right? So we're already 3 questions in, and I'm still going to tell you, everybody's asking the wrong questions. These are all the wrong questions, right? Right. But you're still here, so let's keep going. All right. Question 4, which is my favorite, right? Could he have handled it differently? Well, that's almost a duh, right? Could he have handled any kind of strife or situation or tension or perceived threatening behavior from Chris Rock's joke without getting up in probably a $2,000 to $3,000 tuxedo and walking 20 some odd steps across the stage to publicly assault a fellow actor? Well, duh. Like, that's a duh. There were so many other things he could have done in that moment. Oh, wait, and we forgot the aftermath. Y'all, I can't make this up. Like, did this really happen? Did it? I feel like sometimes I have jumped to a parallel plane. I really do. I feel like I have astral projected to a crazy place. Like, this is the place that you go to when you take the red and the blue pill, right? Okay, like, this is not the Matrix. This is like the Fatrix or the Natrix or something. I personally feel like if you felt the need to publicly assault somebody, if you felt the need to hit somebody, don't do it on camera. I'm just saying, you know, Diddy came on stage and said that you guys were going to talk it out, hug it out at the gold party. Might you have waited until the gold party? I doubt there are as many cameras there as there were on that stage that night. I'm just saying. So, but yet and still, these are still all the wrong questions. All the wrong questions. And so my 5th question is, because this is the question that's being asked, right? Okay. The question is he that mad at Chris Rock? I mean, the truth of the matter is he could be, you know, because now you see all the footage of the things that were said. I think it was the 2006 Oscars when I think Chris Rock was he hosting or co-hosting or whatever he was doing. You know, there have been some things that have been said over the years. And, you know, as an aside, for those of you who didn't know, because this story is developing moment by moment, it seems that Chris Rock may suffer from something, and I don't want to say suffer, is challenged. He's living with a condition very similar to Asperger's, which would put him somewhere on the autism spectrum if I'm not. I think I might be right about that. If I'm wrong, I'm not trying to be wrong. I think there's a spectrum, and I think he's actually on it. That being said, because the information I got is that Chris Rock is neurodivergent. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to need specifics because I'm neurodivergent. You're probably some form of neurodivergent. So I need you to get a little bit more specific. And so I forget the name of it. If you know, drop it in the comments. But that would explain a lot of things, mostly because neurodivergent, especially if you're on the autism spectrum, you don't take in a lot of information. That's not what you do. So for those that are saying, oh, well, he said that, and he was being insensitive to Jada's alopecia, I don't know that Chris Rock knew that she is living with alopecia. I don't know that. I don't know that where some reports say that he was asked not to do the joke. I don't know that either. In fact, the truth of the matter is we don't know anything except what we saw in those 30 minutes of the Oscars. And some of y'all, some of y'all are honest, that's the only 30 minutes of the Oscars you saw. In fact, I'll confess, I'm just like the meme. If it wasn't for that slap, I don't know that I would have known the Oscars were on. Okay, I'm kidding. I actually knew they were on. I just wasn't going to watch them. I haven't watched the Oscars probably in 25 years. It just doesn't appeal, right? It doesn't appeal. That's not what I care to do with my life. But again, there are so many pieces to this puzzle that, listen, you could ask questions about this all day. You know, you could dissect film footage because there's tons of it. You could go back and look at what Will Smith said about a bald person on the Arsenio Hall show. You can go back and look at what Chris Rock said at the, I believe, 2006 Oscars. You can do all of that. And you can ask all of these questions, but you know what? I hate to be the one to break it to you, but that is the wrong question. All 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of these questions that I've given you, I feel are the wrong question. And the reason why they're the wrong question is because they're literally just looking at the outcomes. They're just taking the information and trying to weave together a story of what happened and why it happened and what's going to happen next, because that's what people really want to know. What's going to happen next? With the big question being, is he going to lose his Oscar? Personally, I would like for him to not lose his Oscar. However, when we do things, you know, because everybody wants to say, he's human, he's human, he's human. He is, and we are. And in that, sometimes we make snap judgments and sometimes we make mistakes. And sometimes those mistakes have consequences. Like, we cannot be remiss of the fact that as humans, our actions have equal and opposite reactions. And so, yes, I say, yes, he's human. Yes, he's entitled to his feelings. Yes, he's entitled to think what was needed in that moment was him to take very decisive, determined action for whatever reason, because of his past, because of his present. I don't know. Again, I can't call him. There's a lot of numbers in my phone. Will Smith or Jada Pinkett Smith are not any of the numbers in my phone. Okay, over 1,000 numbers in actually it's probably more than like 2,000 numbers in my phone. They're not in there. But here's the thing: in asking all of these questions, you know, should he have done it? Why did he do it? Will he lose his Oscar? You know, blah 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 blah. I feel like the truth of the matter is, and the question that we really should be asking, and probably the question that no one has thought about asking, is the question I want to ask. And that is, did he want to slap him? Did he want to slap him? And I know you're probably going, well, didn't they ask that question? No, because listen, we've been talking about people pleasing. And one of the things about people-pleasing behaviors and those who engage in people-pleasing behaviors is that sometimes you feel as if you have to do something. You don't want to do it, but you have to. There's a sense of obligation that this situation calls for you to take decisive, determined, sometimes detrimental action so that this person will be pleased. So if I'm talking about people pleasing and I'm looking at this situation, I don't care about any of these other questions. I want to know, is that what he really wanted to do? Or is Will Smith a people pleaser? And did his people pleasing behaviors cause him to respond? Actually, that wasn't a response, to react in such a way that he cast everything that he had accomplished to that point aside. Now, I would be remiss if I didn't say, we're fairly aware of what goes on in the Smiths' marriage, unfortunately. That dadgum red table, like burn the red table. But and the red table just needs to go. I'm done with red table. But that being said, we are only in their business because they put us there, right? And so I have to wonder if all this time, if perhaps there was a buildup, and I don't know what happens in the Smith home. I don't know. Even when they're around the red table, that's still a very manufactured, very controlled environment, even if it is in their house, right? But I have to wonder, with everything that was going on, is it possible that he felt like he had to do something? He had to do something. This was the moment that he could show Jada, the world, other men, I don't know, but he could show somebody something. And in that, he made a decision and he took decisive action. But I want to know, did he want to do it, or did he feel as if he had to? Because once we know the answer to that question, we'll know the answer to a lot of things. Professionally, as a coach, yes, I do think that there are some things that he needs to work out. Absolutely, unequivocally. However, I'm going to ask the question again. Did he want to do that? Did he feel as if he had to? Because as a recovering people pleaser, I know what it's like to be under duress. I've done a lot of things in my life under duress because I thought that's what I had to do to make somebody happy, for them to like me, for them to see me as a genuine friend, for them to see value in me as a person. I understand what it's like. I'm not giving him an out. I'm not giving him an out. I am saying that I feel like in the litany of questions that are being asked and have been asked over the last the last 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, I think that is the question that matters most. And if we can answer that question, even apart from Will, if we can answer that question for ourselves, then we can be empowered. We can begin to recognize that we are in fact engaging in people-pleasing behaviors, and we may need to take and look at the relationships that are around us, the people that support us. Because sometimes the people in our lives will normalize dysfunction. And I hate to be the one to break it to you, but not really. You're not created to live a life in dysfunction, in imbalance. I've already done videos on that. And so this is an invitation. I'm gonna use Will Smith as a teachable moment, right? This is an invitation for you to check yourself, for you to check your relationship. How much have to are you into? A lot of gotta wanna do. You gotta do this, you gotta do this, but you wanna do this. Are you in balance in that? Or you got a lot of gotta and very little wanna do? Anyway, that's all I have to say about that. My name is Stephanie D. McKenzie. I'm a speaker, teacher, author, and coach, here to remind you to always be your own superhero and to thank you guys so much for loving and learning and, helping me dissect this whole Will Smith situation. Thank you for doing all of that with me.